What's going on, fellow wealth builders? I'm super excited to be on this call today. I'm with Kristian Sexton of Valley Homes Property Management. She's somebody that I've grown to really admire her work ethic and what she's been able to do for me. I just wanted to bring her on board and really just allow everybody to know what she does. I know there's a lot of people out there that, are thinking about buying property, but maybe they live in California where they're just priced out of buying a real estate investment. And I feel like Kristian just really allows, you know, the average person to begin building their investing portfolio. She's been absolutely amazing to work with. She's very intuitive. Like, I don't worry about anything when I'm working with her because she's always one step ahead of me. I don't really have to ask her questions or micromanage. So I'm just really, really grateful to have her on board. And here we go. So, Kristian, who are the people that would be interested in buying an out-of-state property?
Well, I think the people that would be most interested in buying an out of state are the people like that are in California, and you've got higher price points of houses. So they come to a community like ours where the price point is a little lower and the renters are a little higher. So really anyone could be interested in purchasing out of state.
Okay, now why would somebody, let's say, want to buy in Alabama, more so the Huntsville, greater Huntsville, Alabama area?
It's a loaded question, but Alabama specifically, our price points for homes are lower. So you have a house that you could buy in California for maybe 750, and you come to Huntsville and you can get it for under 4. So you have more house for your money. And then we have a growing economy that we've got people moving here all the time and a higher percentage of renters than buyers. So that's why, I mean, like you'd want to come here to get more bang for your buck and have more people to rent your properties.
Gotcha. So I know you kind of touched on this, but what makes a great market to actually invest in?
The best market to invest in is a high population of people, like steady growth of people coming in, and an infrastructure in the city that is always adding and growing at the same time, while you can keep your price point lower.
So population growth, maybe job growth in there as well, high
Yes,
income.
yes. You've got businesses that are constantly being added to Huntsville, and the businesses that are being added are higher paid jobs, as well as having, the second largest research park in America. We've got the FBI here, as well as the Arsenal, which employs like over, I think, 36,000 people. Constantly growing economy.
I get asked a lot because I'll tell people, yeah, I just bought 2 properties in the last 3 months, and they're like, well, where'd you buy? And I go, Alabama, and they go, Alabama? What's in Alabama? Especially like somebody from California, they don't like know that anything else exists besides California. So I'm like, let me tell you about the Huntsville area. That is like the most underrated place to invest in, and that's why I'm so excited to be putting my money there and why I'm so confident why I continue to invest there, especially having you as, my partner, making sure that everything's performing the way that it should.
Absolutely. I mean, you say it's underrated, but I think we were on the Today Show like 2 weeks ago. I get calls from people, like I just closed one right next door to the second one you bought, for someone in Israel. I mean, they hear about us on TV. I guess, you can Google best places to invest in, and Huntsville is like one of the very first ones for real estate. So, but yeah, I mean, it is understated. People don't necessarily think, oh, let's call Alabama. At the same time, I think it's one of the best places to invest in.
I mean, I happen to agree with you. So what kind of like fill me in on what a person would experience working with you? Like, what does like the whole process look like? What do they have to do to get a property? And then what do you perform for them as far as the whole process of what you offer?
Well, first, I run the property management division here at Valley Homes. but I'm also a licensed agent. I've been a licensed agent, real estate agent for 8 years, but the last 2 years I've specialized in investor as an investor agent. I think first and foremost, you should always be careful who you're trusting to help find a property. Huntsville, while we have great houses and affordable houses, we also have a lot of real estate agents. And it's easy to say, for sure, I can help an investor buy a property, but without knowing what it takes in property management, they can undersell you. They can sell you a house that's not going to perform. They can sell you a house in an area that is not easily able to place tenants. So with me, you call, and we'll have to tell them how you called, Charles, because that's one of the greatest stories of all times. But you call me or you email me and you let me know, hey, I'm ready to invest. I'll ask you a couple questions, just basically, what's your price point and do you have a lender? And then I do the rest. I will start looking in areas and neighborhoods that I know are going to perform well. I keep a list. Like I look every single day at the market monitor and see what's new on the market. And I've already got rental comps ran for the ones that I know are ready. At any given time, I've got probably 4 or 5 investors that are always ready. So when I see new ones come up that I'm like, oh, this is a great one, I'll send it to you. And literally once you decide, okay, I'm interested in this one, I have some investors that want me to go and walk the property for them, either like on FaceTime or on a video so they can see it. I have other investors that are just like, make sure it's good. I go to the property, I handle writing the offer and negotiating with the listing agent. And then right after you close, you stay with me and I give you paperwork for property management. I get everything ready, get photos taken, get it on the market, get it leased. And then it passes to my team. So my team manages the properties, I onboard them and help the investors.
So what you're telling me is an out-of-state investor or an international investor doesn't necessarily have to fly to Alabama and see the properties that they're buying.
Absolutely not. In fact, I've never had an investor come here. I have some that request videos, like I said. I have some that, as long as I say it's good, they're okay. And then the closing attorneys here can either do a mail away package where they send it to you and you find a notary, or they'll send you a mobile notary. You just mail the packet right back, and then they let me know when it's ready for me to come get keys. My favorite property for a new investor is new construction. So that includes when you buy new construction, you have to do what's called a blue tape walk, where you go and you look at every little nick and cranny that's messed up in the house from the house sitting, or like little paint spots. I do that as well. So I did that on both of your properties. I go, I tape the walls up with any little imperfection, and then I go back for the final walkthrough and make sure it was all done too. New construction comes with that home warranty. Usually it's 210. So I find that that's the safest option for a new investor is new construction.
And then what are the other reasons why you'd want to buy new construction over a pre-existing build?
Well, I think you have a little bit of built-in, whenever you buy an investment property, you obviously want to have money put back for anything that could happen in that first year or 5 years, however you run your numbers. But with new construction, you know that all of the systems are brand new. So HVAC, hot water heater, roof, all the major things that could go wrong, they are not only warranted by that builder, but they're under a manufacturer warranty as well. So if the HVAC were to go out in that first year, I've got 2 different places that I can call and say, you got to cover this because it's brand new. So your costs are reduced for repairs and maintenance. So it's the safest bet. And it's more easily advertised to tenants. If I can say brand new, never occupied, you're going to have a lot more people wanting that one rather than an existing one. Not saying existing is not good. I just think that the new construction is safer for first-time investors.
Gotcha. And have you noticed that new construction, does that appreciate faster than maybe a pre-existing build or a neighborhood?
It's not like a car, so it doesn't depreciate. Appreciation in Huntsville, we see about a 10% appreciation year after year, no matter what kind of
Gotcha.
property you have. obviously it's going to appreciate more than an existing, but I wouldn't necessarily say it appreciates faster. I think they
Okay.
probably appreciate around the same. I think if anything, that new construction makes the existing ones, like once that neighborhood's finished, it's going to bring this a little lower because you've got this new neighborhood.
Okay.
But I don't think it would necessarily appreciate faster.
So just a little background of my experience working with you and kind of the process that I decided to undertake when I was decided on the Huntsville, Alabama market. Basically, what I understood was the key player with buying an out-of-state investment is my team, and my number one team member is my property manager. So what I did was I vetted every single property manager in the Huntsville region. And how I did that was I would look at their listings. I would look at the quality of the pictures, right? Because a renter is going to buy with their eyes. So if you have um, grainy pictures or just pictures that aren't appealing, you're going to lose out on renters that might want to actually rent your property, but it's because it was presented in an inferior way. So that was one of the things that I looked at. And then another thing that I also looked at was how how quick were they to respond to your requests, right? So as a person in the market to rent a property, I would reach out to that reach out to the property manager, whoever owns that building, and I'd say, hey, I want more information on this, right? Well, I had some property managers take 3 to 5 days to get back to me. So if you think about that, you're losing out on a potential rented property. So with Kristian, I literally text her, and 2 minutes later, she called my phone. It was like, bam! It was just like it was instant, and that's like if you want a competitive advantage, you want somebody in your corner that's gonna act like you would if it was your own property. And with Valley Homes, that's what Kristian offers with her service. So that's a little bit of the background of like how I came to be. And I was like, all right, she's on top of it. And then as we develop a relationship over time, it's just like, okay, well, I don't have to worry about this. Like I sleep great at night knowing that my property is in their hands because they have it covered. They're running it better than I could run it myself. And so I'm just really grateful for you guys. So thank you for that.
Absolutely, we are. So we're completely full service. Like we have a photographer on staff. We've got an attorney on retainer. We have maintenance people on staff. I've got 3 different property managers. I have a finance admin. So we're a full team, and we truly want to take the work out of being a property owner. So we do it all maintenance requests, the photography, we do everything in-house, which makes us, I think it sets us apart from any of the other companies in town. And specifically those, like it's a race for us to get your property listed as well. Like if I've got a house that's sitting over 14 days, I'm doing everything but standing on a street corner with a sign. Like we want to get those leased out just as quickly as y'all do. And it's my whole team does, but specifically me, I take ownership in I sold this property to you, or we have a relationship. It is in my best interest to make you happy because you're not going to buy another house with me or invest in another property if we don't perform. So we definitely follow through with everything we promise for sure.
Awesome. Now, could you give me some tips of how I could trust my real estate agent? Like if I'm looking for somebody to do like an out of state property investment, how do I know that I could trust the real estate agent?
Well, you could take it the way you did with me, and send the agent a house that you know would not be good in property management and see what they do. Because a
Mm.
normal agent in Huntsville is going to sell you anything. You call them and tell them you're an investor, they're like, okay, let's do it. Because investor deals typically are easier than you purchasing just your first time with a real estate agent. Because there's not as much work. I'm not driving you around to 15 properties. I'm not, like it's just easier because they're not here. So for them, a lot of agents in town, they're like, oh, an investor, I'll do it. Whatever they want, sign me up. I will tell you no. like you send me a property and it's not one that A, I would manage, or B, one that I think is going to appreciate or do well as a rental home, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say, honestly, I will refer you to someone else, but I do not feel comfortable selling you this property because I know it's not going to do well. So I think something in the way that you did it with property managers is a way that you can test a good investor agent is sending one that is not in a good area or doesn't look pretty from the outside and just see what they say. But I think it's integrity. I think it's someone that is going to be honest with you rather than just taking you as a paycheck, because that's not the way I look at it. To me, it's, I mean, planting seeds in their future, like I know Charles and I know he's got 2 children, and I know that if I'm not going to sell him something that's going to take away money from his family, I want to make sure it's something that we'll appreciate. We will get a good rental income from. And it's not just a paycheck. It's about forming those relationships and building that financial stability for him and his family.
Well, thank you for that. And
Yeah.
yeah, I was able to find you. So what do you want first time out of state home buyers, property investors to actually know? Like what are like the top 3 things that you want them to know?
So first, I want them to know that investing can be easy and that it doesn't have to be something they're afraid of. Especially working with me, because I'll take it down to the basics for them and let them know what all we do, what they won't have to worry about. So investing can be easy. The second thing I would say is that leverage, the word leverage, right? You don't have to have $300,000 in cash to be a first-time investor. In fact, that's probably not the smartest way to do it. So leveraging the cash you have on hand with a loan or a loan product that's going to help you buy the property. And then I think the third thing is that interest rates are not forever. It's not something that you have to keep for the life of that home. They change often. We always say, date the rate, marry the house. And there's always opportunities for you to change that rate. I think especially now with investors, it seems to be that the ones that are newer feel like they have to have all that cash up front. And you don't, even though the interest rates are still a little high. I do know that throughout the year, they are planning on lowering those, but interest rates are not something that you keep forever. Those are the 3 things I think would be the most important.
Good points. Now, what would be the top markets in the Huntsville area? There's I think 7 different markets that are really
Mhm.
hot. What would you recommend?
I love this question. So in Huntsville, it is a big metropolitan city, but we've got these little outliers all around. And I'm constantly watching them. Some of the little outliers have a lower home value, so you can get in cheaper. But I know what's coming in those areas. So the one that most excites me right now is where we just closed, Charles, in New Market. That area has a whole strip of undeveloped land that connects actually to your second property in Owens Crossroads. So eventually in the next 10 years, that's going to be a huge mecca. They're already putting businesses there. So that's what I look for is like areas that are small, lower price point, but I know things are coming. So New Market specifically, Owens Crossroads is where your first one is. I'm actually shocked at some of the price points out there right now. I don't think that's going to be forever, if I'm honest, but if you can get in Owens Crossroads, the school systems there, people will come from anywhere to go to get into those school systems. Same thing with the New Market. They've got great school systems too. Another one is Tony, which is kind of catty corner to New Market. They are this year getting Facebook out there. So I'm watching that area because it's probably like 10 minutes from downtown, 10 to 15 minutes from downtown.
Okay.
But it's small. It's not as developed as the other little outliers. But Facebook is coming. So that's going to drive businesses out there. So I'm watching Tony and Hazel Green, which is like right next to Tony. So those are the 4 I'm watching right now. There's another one I'm not confident in yet, but I think in the next 5 years I might be, and that's Harvest. Everything else is kind of our major mecca, so Huntsville and Madison. And it's saturated, and the price point is a little bit higher than that, the little outliers. So those are the four right now that I'm watching on a daily basis.
Gotcha. And then what's your typical price point? Like what's your average home that you're selling right now and getting an investor placed with a rental?
My first time investors, I would say my average is probably 300. It
Okay.
seems to be a safe space for them in the beginning. Now, at that price point, you're looking at a rental range, depending on where it's at, between like 1850 and 2200.
Gotcha.
I like to at least find one that's $1 per square foot average for rental. So we look at square footage at least 1600 or higher. Our sweet spot is like that 18 to 2000 range. So I'd say average around 300, maybe up to 350. But then what you see is that investors that have three to four properties at that price point may decide in 5 years to sell off two of them and then buy one in like a little bit of a higher price point. Those tenants seem to stay a little longer than the ones in the lower price range. And it's just a lot more per month because it's bigger and in different areas. So I'd say average 300, but then I've got some that spend up to 650 on a rental property after they've been doing it for many years.
So tell me, how can someone get a hold of you and maybe start working with you?
Absolutely. So they can reach out to me via email or phone. You know better than anyone, Charles, that my phone is always on me. My number is textable, it's callable, and then I'm super quick at email too. I like to have a clean inbox. So my work number is 256-427-4607. And then my email is just my first name. It's spelled kind of funny, Kristian at valleyhomeshsb.com. Kristian's just with a K. So Kristian, like you'd think with a CH, take the CH off and put a K on top.
Awesome. Well, Kristian, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on this call. I really appreciate you,
Absolutely.
and I look forward to working with you in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.